Did you know this was a thing? I mean, I did, but that's because I grew up watching Ultimate Spider-Man Jessie, and this crossover came out during the latter half of my childhood, with the crossover happening in 2014 when I was only 9 years old. So when this came out, I was still watching it. I want to say this before I talk about it, and that is when I was 9, I actually loved this episode. It was fun to see two of my favorite TV shows cross over. But now that I'm 17, I'm a little more into comics. Okay, a lot more into comics. And now it's just kind of weird. This Halloween episode is about how Emma, one of the key characters from Jessie, needs to do research for a history project. So instead of trick-or-treating, the Ross kids, under watch with their nanny Jessie, go to a museum in New York after it was already closed because, great watching over the kids, Jessie. But at the same time, Spider-Man is also checking it out. But during this, they accidentally unleash Morgan Le Fay, who wants to kill the children. Why? I don't know. But Spider-Man and Jessie team up to stop her and the Jack-o'-lantern, who was, in this episode, Morgan Le Fay's practically minion. As in the comics, Jack-o'-lantern's a very different character, but I think they just wanted to use a Halloween-type character in this episode, and I have to say, I think Jack-o'-lantern was the perfect choice. Overall, this is just weird. But like I said when I was 9, I found it fun, so I could see younger fans of both shows might loving this, like I did when it came out. But now that I'm older, I can see how not only is it weird, it also kind of creates a problem. It takes a sitcom and puts it in the same role as Spider-Man, the Avengers, Hulk, and S.H.I.E.L.D., etc. Ultimate Spider-Man had an entire episode focusing on the Inhumans who live on the moon, meaning any and every time you see the moon on Jessie, it's actually an alien race of human kree hybrids living up there in a city called Atlan. And while Jessie, the show, never acknowledges this crossover event, there's been multiple episodes of the show featuring on things that when you think about it, it kind of works in this world that we're setting up. The Ross kids have fought a demon named Zoro in one episode, swapped bodies because of magic. A ghost girl stole all their candy one Halloween, and in one episode we learn there's actually a supernatural bellboy in their apartment building. All that kind of fits in this whole weird superhero world, as Ultimate Spider-Man's episodes where they have Blade appear. But on the flip side, wouldn't you think that the superheroes on this world would show up at least at one point? There was an entire episode about the family being kidnapped by Crazy Pawnee. There was an episode where the children disappeared one by one. The family almost died at sea once, etc. It's weird to think that this is a world full of superheroes, yet none of them help. There was also an episode where Luke was convinced that he was a superhero being born on Krypton, which is a DC reference. While this shouldn't be possible because Krypton doesn't exist in the Marvel universe, doesn't that mean DC Comics are fictional in the Marvel universe? It's a little odd to know. Also, the idea of Luke thinking that he wants to be a superhero, despite the fact every person that he talks to about it, seemingly it's like, no, that's impossible. But in a world that has people living on the moon, it should be very possible for him to actually eventually become a superhero. But according to the characters, it isn't. Maybe I'm thinking way too much into this, but it's just overall very confusing when you think about it, as despite the crossover occurring, Jessie never references meeting Spider-Man. Not only that, they reference DC characters, which is even weirder when you think that Jessie is a Disney show, and Disney also owns Marvel. So I'm wondering why they would reference DC superheroes instead of Marvel ones. Either way, it's a very odd crossover, but I will say, if you are younger, you probably enjoy this. I personally would say, even if you are just a older fan of both these shows, you might actually enjoy it too. Either way, I would say the show and the crossover itself is very fun, but overall, it's very confusing. And that's it. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.